Where were you when you got the call?
We was in Houston. We were shooting a video, I think.
Right after revealing where he was when King Von was shot and killed, Lil Durk made a shocking revelation about the unspeakable, crazy things King Von did at the hospital before he died. And Durk isn't the only one speaking up. Von's cousin, Bilo, made a shocking claim.
He made it through two. He hopped off the bed after the second surgery and supposedly started fighting the nurse.
Sounds like a lot went down in his final hours, so let's break it all down. The night King Von died. In the wee hours of November 6th, 2020, the hip-hop community was left shook when rising drill rapper King Von, government named Davon Daquan Bennett, caught a fatal one outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge in LA. Following the murder, things are beginning to cool off until word got out that Lil Durk made an unexpected revelation about how Von went crazy before he died. So did Von really went crazy before he died? Well, the street was cold after Bilo, Von's cousin, ran his mouth about the situation at the hospital right before King Von's death. He claimed that Von would have survived if he had not gone crazy at the hospital.
He hopped off the bed after the second surgery and supposedly started fighting the nurse and asked the nurse where's his gun at, something like that. And then he died because he went into shock. So I'm guessing if he would just laid there, he probably would have survived.
This narrative sparked a whole ball game of controversies on the street. Most fans argue that King Von died at the spot while his close affiliate insists that he drew his last breath at the hospital. Before we go deep into that, let me bring you up to speed on the tragic events of the day. The night King Von died initially started as a normal evening. King Von had just dropped his debut project, Welcome to O'Block, and was in Atlanta living his best life as his buzz kept growing. Von was blowing up with his storytelling flow and authentic street narratives, putting him on everyone's radar. Ain't nobody could have predicted that by sunrise, bro would be gone forever. Around 3:20 a.m., outside the hookah spot, things got heated between two squads. Von's crew and some dudes rolling with Quando Rondo. What started as some back and forth jaw-jacking quickly escalated to hands being thrown. Security footage later showed King Von getting active, throwing them things at Quando's homies first. In a hot minute, what was just a fade turned into a full-blown shootout. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation later confirmed that during the chaos, multiple straps were busted, including by two cops, one on duty and one off duty, who tried to break up the situation. When the smoke cleared, King Von had caught multiple slugs. His head scattered and the scene turned into a madhouse. Von, who was leaking bad, wasn't transported by ambulance but got rushed to the nearest hospital in somebody's whip. This unconventional way of getting medical attention might have affected how quickly bro received proper care. When this was popping off, Lil Durk, born Dirk Derrick Banks, wasn't even in the A. He was posted up in H-Town, Texas. Durk later confirmed his location that night, stating, "No, we was in Houston. We were shooting a video, I think." This physical separation meant Smirk couldn't be there for his mans during those crucial final hours, something that clearly haunts him to this day.
You know, one of my favorite rappers ever was King Von.
Yeah.
You had a great relationship with him, obviously.
Yeah.
Where were you when you got the call?
We was in Houston. We were shooting a video, I think.
How Durk found out about the situation is wild too. He was in the middle of going live on Instagram when the comments started flooding in about Von getting shot. Viewers caught Durk's unfiltered reaction, pure shock and disbelief, as he processed the devastating news in real time while thousands watched. The pain on his face was undeniable as he tried to make sense of what people were saying about his right-hand man. While Von was fighting for his life in the hospital, things were reportedly hectic. Though specific details about Von's behavior in the hospital are limited in public records, Durk has hinted that Von was still on demon time even as he was slipping away. The claim that Von went crazy at the hospital could mean he was refusing to give up, trying to fight despite catching them shells, or even wilding out from the trauma. Despite the doctors trying to save him, Von succumbed to his injuries at the hospital. The autopsy would later reveal that multiple bullets had hit vital organs, injuries too severe for any medical intervention to overcome. At just 26, a promising voice from the trenches was silenced before he could fully realize his potential. News of Von's death spread like wildfire on social media, with fans and fellow artists posting their condolences. Lil Durk's first public response was a heartbreaking post simply saying, "My twin gone, I love you, bro," with several broken heart emojis. Shortly after, Durk ghosted social media for months, an unprecedented digital detox that showed just how deep his mourning went. To really grasp how Von's death hit Durk, you gotta understand their bond wasn't just industry connections. They were blood brothers without the DNA. Both came up in O-Block, one of the most notorious hoods in Chicago's South Side, where they faced the same struggles and developed the same survival mentality. Durk's support for Von wasn't just about music. He held Von down financially during his bids and helped him transition to rap when he touched down. As Von himself put it, "I gotta steady ask this for money. I gotta keep asking Durk for money when I up or something. This financial backing was essential for Von's survival and eventual glow-up, creating a loyalty that ran deeper than business. Their musical partnership was just as tight. Durk brought Von into his Only the Family OTF label, giving him a platform to showcase his unique storytelling abilities. Under Durk's guidance, Von refined his narrative style, creating those vivid street tales that had listeners questioning whether they were real or fiction. This mentorship transformed Von from just another dude with a rap dream to a legit voice from the streets. The respect between them was mutual and genuine. In interviews, Durk consistently gassed Von's storytelling abilities, calling him one of the greatest storytellers years of that's ever been a rap. This wasn't just hype, it was real recognition of Von's gift for painting pictures with words that had listeners fully immersed in his world. Von always kept it a buck about Durk's role in his success too. In his No Jumper interview, Von broke down how Durk would physically put him in positions to be seen, bringing him to interviews and creating opportunities to advance his career. He like, come on business down here, Von explained, showing how Durk was actively plugging him into situations that would boost his visibility and development as an artist. In many ways, King Von represented Durk's hope for the future, a talented artist whose come-up showed there was a path out of the trenches. Von's death didn't just end his promising career, it was a devastating blow to Durk's vision for OTF and his broader mission of putting on for Chicago. The events of November 6, 2020 marked not just the end of King Von's life, but a major turning point in Lil Durk's career and personal journey. Losing his closest homie, someone he called his twin, would profoundly shape his subsequent moves, music, and life choices. The grief, anger, and sense of obligation stemming from this tragedy would eventually lead to a series of events that continue to unfold today. The aftermath and legacy. As the streets were still processing Von's death, the law was already moving. On November 7th, 2020, just a day after the shooting, Timothy Lul Tim Leaks, a 22-year-old associate of Quando Rondo, got booked on felony murder charges in connection with Von's killing. Cops grabbed Leaks while he was getting treated for a gunshot wound at Grady Hospital, suggesting he was also hit during the Wild exchange. The arrest seemed to lay out a clear timeline. King Von had been gunned down by someone in Quando Rondo's camp during the altercation outside the hookah lounge. This version of events got more weight when security footage hit the internet, showing Von throwing hands first, rushing at people connected to Rondo. The footage that circulated had everyone playing detective, though it created as much confusion as clarity. On March 27, 2021, about 4 months after getting locked up, Lul Team posted a $100,000 bond and walked out. This development had Von's fan base and associates heated. The idea that the alleged shooter was back on the streets while Von was gone forever had a lot of people questioning the system. The case took an unexpected twist on August 20th, 2023, when the felony murder charges against Leaks got dropped before the case even made it to formal indictment. Noah Pines, Leaks' lawyer, confirmed the dismissal, saying prosecutors concluded the shooting was justified under Georgia's Stand Your Ground law. This law lets people use deadly force if they reasonably believe they're in danger, without having to retreat first. The dismissal of charges was a controversial move that sparked mad debate. For Von's fans and loved ones, it felt like the system had failed them. For Quando Rondo's camp and supporters, it validated their claim that Leaks was just protecting Rondo from an aggressor. The legal outcome, or lack thereof, just added more fuel to an already explosive situation. With no legal justice in sight, fans started a grassroots campaign urging Lil Durk to slide for Von. This phrase, straight out of street vocabulary, was basically fans pressing Durk to get revenge for his homie's death. The pressure on Durk to respond with violence was everywhere, especially on social platforms where fans openly discussed their expectations. One Reddit user, whose comment got 7 upvotes, directly called out Durk's perceived inaction. Durk definitely should have slid for Von. They were like brothers, and I know for a fact if someone popped my brother, one of us dying. If it had been the other way around, you know for a fact Von would have been at them. This sentiment was all over social media, creating an environment where Durk's loyalty to Von was constantly being questioned. The Slide for Von movement represented a dangerous intersection of fan culture and street code. It put Durk in an impossible position: ignore the calls and look disloyal to Von's memory, or respond with violence and risk catching a case or worse. The weight of these expectations, combined with his personal grief, created a heavy burden that was visible in Durk's demeanor and music during this period. While Durk kept his composure in public, rarely showing emotion in interviews or appearances, his pain showed up in other ways. He frequently name-dropped Von in his music, performed Von's tracks during his shows, and kept visual references to him in music videos and social posts. These tributes weren't just about keeping Von's memory alive. They were Durk's way of processing his loss.
We never seen that moment. We never seen that moment where you're like, yo, listen, I'm going through a lot right now. Just give me some time. Or and I've always said, damn, does he mourn? You know, obviously you lost
everybody mourn. You know, everybody show emotions, but I just can't see myself just doing this. Damn, man, this crazy, man. It's like,
On August 19th, 2022, nearly 2 years after Von's death, a shooting went down at a gas station near the Beverly Center Mall in Los Angeles. The intended target appeared to be Quando Rondo, but the bullets instead took the life of his cousin, Xavier Robinson, also known as Lil Pab. This tragic event would later be connected to the ongoing fallout from King Von's death, suggesting that the cycle of retaliation had claimed another victim. The hit on Quando Rondo's crew that resulted in Lil Pab's death marked a major escalation in the beef between the camps associated with King Von and Quando Rondo. No immediate arrests followed the shooting, but investigations were launched that would eventually bring shocking revelations about organized retaliation. Throughout these chaotic events, King Von's legacy continued to grow. His posthumous album, What It Means to Be King, dropped in March 2022 and debuted at #2 on the Billboard 200, showing his music still had major pull even after his passing. This commercial success cemented Von's place as a significant figure in hip-hop, whose influence extended beyond his short time in the game. Von's storytelling ability in particular has been recognized as a major contribution to drill music. Durk himself emphasized this, calling Von one of the greatest storytellers years of that's ever been a rap. This narrative skill, which allowed Von to paint vivid cinematic pictures of street life, remains his most celebrated artistic quality and the cornerstone of his legacy. Beyond his musical contributions, Von's impact on his community, especially O-Block, has been highlighted repeatedly since his death. Stories of his generosity, loyalty, and commitment to putting on for his people have become central to the narrative around his life. These aspects of his character provide some balance to the more problematic parts of his story, including his extensive rap sheet and street activities. The complexity of Von's legacy is further complicated by posthumous revelations about his alleged involvement in serious crimes, including the 2014 shooting of Gakira K.I. Barnes. These allegations, which came from released police documents, add another layer to the already complicated story of his life and impact. In addition to these legal revelations, FBI documents released in January 2023 allege that Von had put money on FBG Duck's head, another Chicago rapper who was murdered in August 2020. According to a confidential informant mentioned in these documents, Von had initially offered $50,000 for the hit, later doubling it to $100,000. While these allegations haven't been proven in court, they contribute to the contested nature of Von's legacy. In October 2024, FBG Duck's mother filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Lil Durk, OTF Records, and King Von's estate, claiming they profited from her son's death through negligence and misconduct. This legal action further entangled Von's posthumous legacy with ongoing controversies and legal battles. Despite these controversies, Von's artistic contributions continue to get major props from fans and fellow artists. His unique voice, compelling narratives, and authentic perspective on street life have secured his place in drill rap history, influencing a new generation of artists who draw inspiration from his work. Lil Durk has been instrumental in maintaining Von's legacy, consistently performing his songs and referencing him in interviews and music. When asked about this practice, Durk explained, "You go in there like that's how powerful it named me, like outside all the bullshit. You always live on there, so I told him I was one if he didn't rap. But I'm always keep it alive, you know." This commitment ensures that Von's artistic contributions continue to reach audiences and influence the culture. The aftermath of King Von's death also revealed the immense pressure that fan expectations can place on artists, especially those from communities where street justice is normalized. The Slide for Von campaign, which played out across social media platforms, represented a troubling blurring of the line between entertainment and real violence.
They used to say, but you also mentioned a song. They'd be like, they be saying Slide for Von. I think they trolling me. Yo, by the way, that song is fire. I ain't gonna lie.
for some reason, I just don't see the comments no more.
This phenomenon raises important questions about fan responsibility and the impact of such expectations on artists' actions and mental health. For Lil Durk, the aftermath of Von's death has been a period of major personal and professional transformation. His music has taken on a more reflective quality, often touching on themes of loss, loyalty, and resilience. His album Almost Healed, released after Von's death, explores themes of trauma and the ongoing process of recovery. The title itself acknowledges that some wounds never fully close, a sentiment that Durk has expressed when discussing his grief. The hit on Quando Rondo's crew and the resulting death of Lil Pab represented a dark turn in the ongoing saga following Von's death. While the full details of this incident wouldn't be revealed until later legal proceedings, it marked a significant escalation that would ultimately have far-reaching consequences for all involved. Lil Durk's legal battle. On October 25th, 2024, the rap world was left in shock when Lil Durk got snatched up near Miami International Airport on some heavy federal charges. This wasn't some minor beef with the law, but serious federal heat that included conspiracy to commit murder for hire. The arrest, executed by U.S. Marshals, had everyone in the culture talking. The reaction to Durk getting booked within the hip-hop community was pure disbelief. DJ Academics, who's been covering both Durk and Von extensively throughout their careers, captured what many were feeling when he emotionally broke down on his live stream, exclaiming, "Man, I fell down to my knees when the law came out."
I'm muted. Hold on. I'm about to be muted back again. Hold on. I'm gonna tell you right now. Oh my God. Oh. No, I'm not trolling. I promise you.
As more info came to light, a grim picture started to form. Federal prosecutors alleged that Durk had ordered a hit on Quando Rondo as get back for King Von's death. While Rondo himself dodged the bullets, the attack resulted in the death of his cousin, Xavier Robinson, Lil Pab, in August 2022 in Los Angeles. The timing of Durk's arrest couldn't have been worse. He had just secured a Grammy Award for Best Melodic Rap Performance for All My Life, featuring J. Cole in February 2024, and was gearing up to drop his album Deep Thoughts on November 22nd, 2024. His career was peaking, making the potential consequences of these charges even more devastating. 5 members of Durk's Only the Family, OTF squad, also got picked up and charged in connection with the alleged plot. After getting locked up, Durk made his first appearance in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida on October 25th, 2024, and was ordered to be transferred to Los Angeles for arraignment. During a detention hearing on December 12th, 2024, U.S. Magistrate Judge Patricia Donahue denied bail, citing Durk's substantial resources and flight risk potential. Durk has maintained his innocence, pleading not guilty to all charges. He's being represented by high-profile Atlanta defense attorney Drew Finley, who previously defended former President Donald Trump. His legal team filed a motion to dismiss the case on April 21st, 2025, challenging the prosecution's evidence, particularly the use of song lyrics as evidence of criminal intent. A major point of contention in the case revolves around Durk's track Wonderful Wayne and Jackie Boy, which prosecutors claim references the shooting. They point to a news clip filmed after the shooting where Quando Rondo can be heard saying "no, no" upon seeing Robinson's body, which they allege is mirrored in the song. Durk's defense team counters that the lyrics were written months before the shooting and have nothing to do with the incident. The trial was originally set for January 7th, 2025, but got pushed back to October 14th, 2025, after both prosecution and defense agreed that the case is so unusual and so complex. The complexity comes from the massive amount of evidence, including over 230 gigabytes of digital evidence and more than 20,000 pages of reports. Beyond the criminal charges, Durk now faces a civil wrongful death lawsuit filed on February 26, 2025 by Andrea Laquila Robinson, Xavier Robinson's mother. The lawsuit describes the shooting as a targeted attack and aims to hold Durk, his business manager, Only the Family record label, and another company responsible for Robinson's death. The allegations against Durk go beyond just the Quando Rondo situation. Prosecutors have raised concerns about his potential involvement in a second murder for hire incident related to the 2022 murder of Stefan Mack, a 24-year-old believed to be a gangster disciples leader. While Durk hasn't been charged in this case, the allegations were used to deny his pretrial release. The federal indictment against Durk has sparked widespread discussion about the "slide for Von" phenomenon and its potential influence on his actions. Social media posts from October 2024 highlighted this connection, with one stating, "Fans are blaming internet trolls for pressuring Lil Durk to retaliate after King Von was murdered. Kept asking Durk to slide for Von. He did it, now he's locked up." This narrative suggests that fan pressure may have contributed to Durk's alleged decision to seek revenge.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie to you. I know this sounds f***ed up, but I got about 5 rappers I think I would have donated today. Take them, not him, not Smirk. Bro, I ain't gonna lie to you. I f*** with Smirk, bro. I got 5 other rappers. Half of these, they just be talking. They ain't on shit. Take them. Leave me, Durk. Yo, I ain't gonna lie. Streets is dead. I think that's what we gotta say. Yeah, the streets are. Yeah, streets are. Oh my God. God, bro.
The legal drama also raises questions about the connection between rap music and real-life violence. Prosecutors are pointing to Durk's lyrics as evidence, a controversial tactic that his defense team is actively fighting. This approach touches on broader debates about artistic expression, keeping it real in hip-hop, and the criminalization of rap music. The case against Durk is being investigated by the FBI and LAPD, with the prosecution led by attorneys from the Terrorism and Export Crimes Section, International Narcotics, Money Laundering, and Racketeering Section, and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California. The high-profile nature of the case and the resources being poured into it highlight its importance to federal authorities. The impact of these legal troubles on Durk's career has been massive. His arrest came just weeks before his album Deep Thoughts was supposed to drop on November 22nd, 2024, disrupting his creative momentum and forcing him to reconsider his whole career trajectory. The possibility of a life sentence if convicted represents an existential threat to his future in music. Durk's arrest also affects the broader OTF movement and the Chicago drill scene, which has already lost too many figures to violence and incarceration. As one of the most successful artists to come out of this movement, Durk's legal situation represents another setback for a community that has struggled to translate artistic success into sustainable legal prosperity. The case has prompted reflection on the cycle of violence that has claimed so many lives in hip-hop. King Von's death, the alleged retaliation against Quando Rondo resulting in Lil Pop's death, and now Durk's potential incarceration illustrate the far-reaching consequences of this cycle. Each tragic event spawns new repercussions affecting not only those directly involved but their families, communities, and fans. Fan reactions to Durk's arrest have been mixed. While many express shock and support, others see it as the inevitable result of street involvement. The conversation around his case touches on complex issues of loyalty, justice, and the expectations placed on artists from disadvantaged backgrounds who achieve success. As the case moves toward its October 2025 trial date, the legal and cultural implications continue to unfold. The outcome will not only determine Durk's personal fate, but also potentially influence how the music industry, law enforcement, and fans understand the relationship between artistic expression and real-world behavior. For Lil Durk, the legal battle represents the culmination of a journey that began with King Von's tragic death in November 2020. The loyalty, grief, and sense of obligation stemming from that loss have led him to this critical point where his future hangs in the balance. Whether motivated by personal vengeance, influenced by fan pressure, or driven by street code, the alleged actions have resulted in serious legal consequences that threaten to derail his career and freedom. The tragic chain of events, from King Von's death to Lil Pop's murder to Durk's arrest, illustrates how violence creates more violence, causing ripple effects that extend far beyond the initial incident. This case serves as a sobering reminder of the real-world consequences of street conflicts that sometimes begin or are amplified in music, but ultimately play out with devastating finality in the lives of real people. As we await the resolution of this case, it stands as a powerful example of how the streets and the studio can collide in ways that destroy careers, end lives, and leave lasting scars on communities already struggling with systemic challenges. For all the glory and success that drill music has brought to artists like Durk and Von, their story also reveals the potentially devastating cost of keeping it too real when the lines between art and life become dangerously blurred. If you love this video, then click on the card showing on your screen for more videos.